I don't have a clip though, so here we are.
Here we are. Morning, everybody. Eric and Trisha from DT Performance Designs, and one of the many things that we do for customers is 10 by 10 pop-up tents. We thought we'd do a quick little video to show you how our process goes in doing this. Doesn't have to be difficult, can be difficult, but we're going to show you how to try to make it as easy and cheap as possible. Here we go. So the first thing we do, obviously, is roll out our 10 by 10 pop-up tent cover. And we'll line it up and we'll find center, which is always usually folded pretty nice right here. For our heat source, we found for this, the standard Cricut heater, which you can pick up at your local Michael's or something like that, works well. Heat is set to about 315 for 12 seconds, and we're just going to iron some of the wrinkles out of here just to lay it flat before we lay our transfer on.
It's always good to try to get most of the wrinkles out while you can underneath before ironing.
Doesn't have to be perfect, of course, but it definitely helps kind of work the wrinkles out to the sides underneath so that your transfer lays nice and flat when you go to transfer it with the heat. All right, that looks pretty good. So the first thing we have, which goes on the front of the tent. Now we use our DTF printer to print this. Vinyl works well. We used to do vinyl. Still do from time to time, depending on the detail. The first thing we want to do is center our design that goes on the front. We know this is center right here. So we'll take a tape measure. We'll say it is 61 inches. So we want to go to 30 and a half on the center line. So we'll move this down here. And that looks to be about center. We'll make sure that we're equal distance from the bottom across here. And then we use a little pillow. You can buy these on Amazon. Teflon coated pillows. It just allows you to press on it without any wrinkles underneath of it. And I usually start on one side. Lay Teflon over top. And take your Cricut heating iron. Place it right on there. And it has a counter button where you counter for about 12 seconds in each spot. Now again, this is a DTF ink, and it is a cold peel. So we will move this down a little bit to the next location, and we'll do our countdown. Teflon is very important, so you're not sticking. And this side here, 12 seconds. So this half has been heated. I'll show you why in a second. You can go either way. But we found that it works best if you do one half, and then while this half is cooling, this half is getting heated up. Okay, those are all heated. Back there. And we'll carefully begin peeling off our release layer. And sometimes you get to a spot that might need a little bit more heating on it. Velcro. Let's give it a little firm press, a little bit of heat right there. That Velcro right there is why. There's Velcro tabs under here that can be a tad bit annoying. There we go. And then we'll just peel off carefully. And then without the pillow, we'll go through and we'll just do another quick press to make sure the glue has taken and these don't lift off. Amazing humidity.
Steam coming out.
Mm-hmm. And that's it for the front. For the top, okay, you can visualize when the tent is up. This is actually the front. So this is where your uprights go. And then this is where the start slant goes up to the top, to the peak. I know this is in 4 sections, but we're only doing one side, one of the 4 sides. So if that makes sense. So this is really the front. So when you're looking directly at the tent, you can see the name. And this will be going up the slope on the front on the same side. So the main logo, you're going to want to make sure it's center to your text. And usually by visualizing your outside points, you can get a pretty good estimate of where it is. Or you could always measure if you want to be. Now, to make sure it's level, we do take a measurement from the bottom of our logo or lettering to the edge. Make sure it's consistent all the way across. And we've been using 14 inches as a good measuring point. Right about there. Excellent. Now, in this one, it's pretty flat. So we can start with the pillow, but if it's flat enough, we really don't have to, which seems pretty flat. So we can just start with our Teflon. And again, these Teflon sheets, I think you get 5 of these for like $15 on Amazon. So we'll always start in the middle and work our way out. And again, we'll do the same thing on both sides. So we'll cover all this with Teflon. And we'll start right in the middle. And here we go. And we'll just do 12 seconds at a time in one spot. Or, as she's doing, you can use an iron to help along too. Any good heat source, at least 300 degrees.
Don't want to stay too spot for too long.
You really don't want to go over 315 degrees. And again, we use our DTF printer to create these logos. Vinyl works very well. There's a heat vinyl and there's a adhesive vinyl, both that you can use. Again, Cricut machines will do this. Plot cutters, silhouettes, all available at your local. I think it's Michael's that sells most of this stuff.
Now, while he's generally ironing, I'm going to go ahead and cut these and this transfer into a section here. That way we can work a little more efficiently. If you're only doing 110, it's a lot easier to just kind of keep going with a smooth process. But when you have 14 to 20 of them to do, you kind of, the quicker you can get them done to make more money. That's what the game is all about. As you can see right here, it's already starting to peel up, which is a great sign. Because the NBHA is a bigger mass of ink, it's going to take probably a few strokes to get it to adhere solidly. You can always go along and help your transfer paper release, your ink release from the transfer paper, just using your fingers, kind of run your fingers along it. If you come to an area that is peeling up while you're trying to release it from the paper, go ahead and just apply some more heat. I like to try to get the thinner areas with the iron. To me, I can just control the heat a little bit better. You're not overdoing it. You definitely, if you're using a household iron, you're not going to want to stay in one spot for too long, just because it will get too hot, distort your texts, or completely evaporate the adhesive powder on the back of your design. When we first started doing tents, it was quite difficult. These are the tabletop underneath this big plywood piece here is just two work chests from Home Depot that we got, and we used to try to make it work on that, but it just wasn't a good clean surface or a flat surface. You know, you got the seam in the middle where the two come together. And so Eric decided to go ahead and make a nice template for us, and it fits perfectly. And it allows me more workspace when we're doing embroidery stuff, so it's kind of a great all-around tool to have. Let's see if we can't get some of this to... Nope, I gotta heat that more.
I'll put this on there.
Yeah.
So this is a cold peel paper, and it can be somewhat cantankerous for large spots like this.
Normally we would use a rapid peel. Unfortunately, we were under the impression and were told that this was going to be a hot peel, rapid peel, and it wasn't. So we figured tents while we're working would be the best thing to use this paper up for. That way we're not out the money of buying that paper. Like Eric always says, you don't want to rip the paper off. You want to...
Don't lift, peel.
There you go. Don't lift, peel.
So in other words, when we do this, we're not lifting our film. We want to peel it back. Just like that.
If we're doing vinyl, a 90-degree angle or weaving it back and forth just like that works perfect. We'll reheat him back on. We do a lot of horse blankets, and actually this DTF print has stayed very well on the waterproof sheets. Obviously, you don't want to embroider something like that because it's going to ruin the waterproofing or ruin your saddle. Most of the sheets we do, you're going to put a saddle underneath of it, and when you're at a show, keep the rain off of everything, keep it nice and dry. So tents have held up pretty well with it, and it's been a popular item that's been requested by many association directors. Once these tents are handed out to the awardees, we will post a picture. Normally, she always sets the tents up and takes a really big picture for us with all of the winners, and it's pretty cool seeing all of our work up in the air on display. Let that cool a minute, probably. We could get his little hand.
Yeah, we'll let this cool. So I go back over this. Paper's been taken off, and I'll heat this up again just to make sure all the glue has been set properly on the nylon while she's working that other piece of release film off there. A little bit more.
If you have access to a DTF printer or know somebody who does, it's a lot easier to do it this way. When we used to do tents, the vinyl process, it took an extra few days, after cutting it on the plot cutter and then trying to weed everything, and it never fails. You always get one that doesn't cut all the way, or the excess sticks to the good parts, and then you have to recut it, or you ruin that whole area of vinyl to heat on, and it gets expensive. I think DTF is a definitely better option price wise and usability. It's sunny out. No. You just might want to release it.
We'll throw both of these sheets back up here and go back over this one final time. And while it's mostly 90% stuck, we'll just re-flatten it out and make sure any glue that didn't get melted onto from the transfer, we'll just make sure. That way it sticks nice and smooth and doesn't want to come off, hopefully, for quite some time. I think the other advantage of using DTF is actual ink. It's water-based ink. Essentially a large inkjet printer that uses water-based ink. So unlike vinyl, which will peel after a while and crack, this ink is much more pliable and resistant to cracking. And I would believe that this should be ready to go after it cools off. We can fold it up and send it on its way. Thanks everybody for watching. If you like what we did, select that like button, subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop us a comment. and let us know what you liked or didn't like or have questions, and we'll get you another video to show you some of the other stuff we do.